Wednesday night. You know what that means. It is time for another Auburn family night here at E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get into it. Your calls, your questions, and comments all here on this edition of E2C Network Live. War Eagle Auburn family, War Eagle E2C Network family, and thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, spending some time talking about anything that you want to talk about that's related to Auburn within the Auburn experience. We can talk about sports. We can talk about Auburn culture. We can talk about anything. It's really up to you what we discuss tonight. Would love to hear from you, the comments that you have as you're watching right now live or on the replay. Also, any of the calls that you may want to participate in tonight. And we'll give you the instructions for that in just a little bit. But to start off our show, what I would like to do is remind you of how we always like to start off our show, and that is by checking in. You just do that by smashing the like button. Does help the stream out, helps us let everybody know that we're live and how to come find the show. It also kind of gets this thing rolling. It gets the good feelings going. But also, we'd like for you to check in by posting where you're watching from, your city, your state. If you're international, you can do that as well. Had somebody check in from Poland, I believe it was yesterday. I think it was Poland. Yes. So would love to have you guys participate in that way. As I said, the phone lines are open. You will have to access that phone number on YouTube. It is pinned up top there. So please do check that out if you would like to participate in that. It's brought to you by our friends at All Things Auburn. You see their logo up there, up in the top corner, popping in now. It is open. It is live. Do not hesitate. Call in now whenever you'd like to throughout the stream tonight. Obviously, there's usually a plethora of things that we can talk about. I know where everybody's mind usually goes first when we get together, and the word Auburn is with it. First things first is the Auburn spring game. That's on the table. That's up for discussion tonight. Obviously, a Frank Thomas statue is going up. Baseball and softball and track and field are still in full swing right now. Basketball is making waves in terms of people leaving the program and things like that, but not to be surprised by that. If you are, wake up. That's all I got to say. Lots of those different things that we can hit tonight. I'm trying to think. Buc-ee's is opening up on Monday. I think I originally in a podcast said it was going to open up on A-Day, but it actually opens up the day the Monday after, which I may or may not be at on opening day. So you might want to stay tuned for all of that kind of stuff. All of that's on the table. I can start off the show by offering up just a look ahead to what to expect from me this weekend and what you can expect us. Anytime I'm on campus or anybody that works with us is on campus, we like to give you as much of the experience. That's why we're all about the Auburn experience here as we can. So we'll be sharing photos, videos, anything we can, just impressions from campus, probably starting Friday afternoon. There was one point we thought we might arrive there. I might arrive there tomorrow. I'm not sure that's going to happen at this point. Probably not, but Friday we'll definitely be on campus, and it is going to be a full day. We're planning on hitting the tennis match. We're planning on being at baseball in the upper deck, third level, looking right out. All of those different things that you can get engaged on that day. And then there's the next day where you've got Tiger Walk, which we'll be at. We will be at the Frank Thomas statue. Our plan is to live stream that, barring any unforeseen circumstances. We also will be doing a post-game show. We'll remind you of all this at the end. There's just going to be so much to talk about. I'm going to be so busy on A-Day. And I just I'm hoping against hope that the weather will have a change of heart and a change of pace. Neil's already here. Good to see you, Neil. Neil says, I'm sad about Suni Lee. Let me put everybody else on the same page, and I believe what you're referencing. It was announced by her this week, clarified why she has been sitting out. There's been a lot of speculation about what the reason was for her sitting out, what her injury was. There was rumors at one point there was a car wreck, and maybe there was, or something like that. But really, it came down to, if I have this correctly, a kidney issue. I want to call it disease because I don't know the official statement that she made. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but a kidney issue has forced her to stop competing this year. I don't know what that means in terms of her professional Olympic career and training and things like that. Obviously, it's Paris this year, right? Is much farther off. So there's time to acclimate to that. But yeah, it sucks when you only have a lot of time with these athletes in general, but you also only have so much time with Olympian. And it was so short, so sweet, but so short. It was going to be sad to lose her regardless, but to not be able to see her finish out the way we'd have liked would have been really nice. And you could tell the team was really hoping they would have her down the stretch and could have really used her as an anchor for that team. But opportunities to learn and grow, much like the baseball team having to go without some of their star players. So you just got to take the opportunities as they come if you are a Auburn team right now, whether your star player is there or not. We got Leighton checking in. Good to see you. We should be getting a basketball transfer commit this weekend. Hopefully, the Beat is reporting they will be pushing for a commitment, especially from FIU transfer Denver Jones, a top guard, 6'4". Yeah, I've seen his name circulating a lot. We'll see what happens, right? A lot of positions have opened up. If we kind of go through them right now, Yawan Traore, forward, is gone. Chance Westry, guard, is gone. Chandler Leopard. Is it Leopard or Leopard? I think it's Leopard. Obviously didn't play a lot, but he's gone. That's another spot that's opened up. And Wendell Green, who confirmed today on his particular appearance on, I'm trying to remember the name of the Next Round Live, I think is what it's called. It openly said today he does not plan on coming back. And we kind of hinted to you that in the video that we did about him this week. So hopefully that didn't catch you guys off guard. I think it was pretty evident that his time at Auburn was done. I didn't want it to be, but that was the reality. So obviously, with so many people leaving, you got to at some point start having them coming in. So that'll be the next big wave of things, exciting things to talk about in terms of new players deciding to come in. Let's see. I think there's going to be one more basketball player to be gone coming. So, we've got, and I know some of you, I don't know if y'all are on message boards and things like that, but you'll usually see some of these things on there. There's been speculation that I've seen circulating, not on message boards because I'm not on any of them, but just in general discussion on social media and stuff about maybe Alan Flanagan and Wes Flanagan trying something new for his last year. Probably going to use his last year. To me, I think if Allen was going to go pro and just kind of like Wendell's doing and not come back to college basketball, he would have done it already, in my opinion. Now he may go somewhere else. But there's that. Jalen Williams, I hope Jalen Williams is here next year. Gosh, I'm so ready for that kid. To just he came this close to just stepping out into some dominance this year and did it at times. Would love to have him back, but we'll see what happens. Wouldn't be surprising if there was another one. I know I keep grabbing my neck around here, but I got like something that's like blowing in the wind or something that's getting me. It's really weird. Leighton, an exciting weekend. So much going on. A good recruiting tool to show Auburn environment and atmosphere without actual games occurring. One problem with that, Leighton, and actually we can turn it into a plus, is the weather. The weather is not supposed to be pretty. Last I checked, and that was yesterday. I got so depressed I stopped checking it today. It was like 92% chance of rain. And it said it was most of the rain was happening during the day. I did notice that in the order of events that Auburn has released for Saturday, they moved Tiger Walk up by 15 minutes. So that leads me to believe that maybe there's a lower chance. That could be another reason why they moved it, but maybe there's another opportunity for lower chance of rain when that happens, because they know that's going to be a big thing for people. And there's really no way to do a proper Tiger Walk and there's no cover for people. So if you want to have a proper tiger walk, you got to do it when it's most advantageous. The point is, it could be rough this weekend, and that could kind of sour some things a little bit. I hope it doesn't. Spring game in the new facility. The problem is where you're going to put all the people. It's a big facility. There's nowhere to put anybody at this point. Neil, it's looking like a rainy, stormy week, and the Masters may even get washed out. Sad. I know. It's just, we are just having a plethora of storm systems that just roll in one after the other. And mind you, I would say this too. We've been having just constant rain. We haven't had like a week stretch of no rain, and I can't figure out how long. That's back through the winter into the fall. It felt like it was pretty good for the most part. Well, it was pretty rainy this football season too. We're in a rainy season, guys, and it's unfortunately it falls a lot on our weekends and ruins things like this. So we'll see. It hasn't been raining this week. It's been hot, 85 today. I don't know if it's that hot, Neil. You and I are in very close proximity. It's warm. I don't consider that hot. That's just my opinion. Maybe a little bit hotter than we'd like it to be now. That's probably where we can land on together. A couple other questions rolling in here. You guys don't be shy if you'd like to call in too and talk with me. You're more than welcome to do that. The thing should be listed at the top of the YouTube chat. Those of you watching on Facebook, you have to come over to YouTube to take advantage of that. The football portal will open on April 15th through April 30th in 10 days. In the fall, it was set for May 1st, but the NCAA moved it up sometime in November. They're still trying to figure out how to best run this whole transfer portal thing. It's a lot of shoot, ready, aim. We put this out there, and we had some idea of how it's going to run, but you could tell there was not a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot. There was not enough thought to keep them from having to make several of these adjustments. Adjustments were going to have to be made, but it's clearly evident that a lot of discussions were not. I shouldn't say that either. A lot more thought probably should have been put into it, in my opinion. And I'm sure there was a lot of thought put in there too. All right, Richard wants me to get down to brass tacks here. Who are you looking forward to shining at A-Day game? That's an interesting question. Who am I looking forward to shining? So if you're asking me who do I think's going to shine or who do I want to see, let me try to answer that from both ways there. See, that's a tough question to answer because this is a spring game. And if you get too hyped about one player, you're going to probably be disappointed a lot of times. There's that string. It's a string. Tuck that thing in there. My general answer would be the offensive line, but I don't even know how much we're going to see from that. It's going to be fun to watch some of the new options to throw the ball to, tight end wise, especially the way that Coach Hugh Freeze this week in his press conference really talked up the tight end group has me really excited. I was on a guest host on the Voice of College Football, one of the great YouTube channels out there that covers obviously college football with Mark Rogers. And we talked a lot about that's what really stuck out to me this week during his press conference. Tight end group is probably got me the most interested. So if you're asking me who I'd like to shine, that would be a good one there. Any thoughts on Coach Freeze wanting to scrimmage with other schools? Yes, I'm hoping to do a video about this. Hoping is a key term there. I picked up on that immediately. And if I had not been busy this week, I would have already had something out about it. Other coaches are agreeing with him. If you notice, the coaches that have the most to benefit from that are agreeing with him. Troy, UAB. That's the ones he mentioned playing, so that's great. The NFL does a good job with this. So here's my take on the spring games actually having an opponent. In concept, I love it. But I got to ask the question, and I try to do this a lot. What don't I know? Why hasn't this taken place previously? And it's somewhere in our history, in college football history, there's got to have been a spring game played with an actual opponent. I don't know. It just feels like that should have happened. So why isn't it happening now? Is it logistics? Is it finances? Is it injury risk? What are the reasons? Is it a plethora of all that? I've used plethora twice now. I love it, but why hasn't it happened yet? That's what I want to know. That's what I'm intrigued by. Neil says money most likely. I would agree with you, but you would think it's going to make money, especially for a small town like Auburn. Why not? I think a great way to kind of set something new for the program, for the lifeblood of a town and a university, is to do something new, something special like this. And that would be a cool thing to maybe see happen next year. I doubt it could happen, but I'd love it. I loved his concept of a charity event, of playing on a rotation, maybe UAB, Troy. You could get Jacksonville State. I mean, I love that it stays in Alabama too. And that kind of gets everybody involved. Let's get Alabama State up here. We played them before. Alabama University of Alabama is not going to play anybody in Alabama because they're scared, but hey, it is what it is. All right, we'll get back. Let's see. Richard says NCAA doesn't want it to happen. I'm all for it. High school does it in jamborees. That's true as well. All right, we'll get back to some of your comments and questions. Let's take our first caller tonight. You know him, you love him, Mr. Positivity. Let me see if I can get him in here. There he is. Mr. Kevin, what's going on, sir?
War Eagle.
How are you doing today, buddy?
How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Excited about A-Day, even though we're going to have to go be in the rain.
They should cancel it.
You want to cancel it just because of a little rain, Kevin?
It's supposed to be 90%.
Yeah, but you want them to cancel it just because of a little rain? Do you know how many people would be disappointed if they canceled it?
Yeah, but I wanted to go, but my dad won't let me and my girlfriend go.
Okay, well, I mean, maybe there's some safety issues there. There's bad storms and everything like that. I get it. Well, I'll be braving it for you.
Hey, will it be on TV?
I believe, last I checked, it is on SEC Network Plus. So you've got to have some special, I think most packages these days give you access to it, but
yeah,
it's not just your SEC Network. You got to have like the Plus with it. If anybody wants to clarify that in the chat, please do. And I don't think it's your traditional TV.
Who's all the quarterbacks might play in the A-Day game?
Well, I saw in the practice footage this week that the university provided us, or the athletic department provided us, Ashford, Holden Gerner, and TJ were all throwing. And I got to think that Hank Brown as well. I don't know if he's on campus. I guess he's on campus. If he's on campus, I would assume that he'd be throwing as well. So, yeah, hopefully everybody.
How about running backs?
Running backs, I think everybody's going to be running. Jarquez looked good in some of that footage. I saw Damari Alston there, Brian Body. I don't know. I really don't know of anybody on the team that's going to be missing outside of Malcolm Johnson, the wide receiver, and then Tate Johnson, who was the former center, who was a guard now, who's got hurt another part of his body.
And JD Rim.
JD Rim. I must have missed that one.
Yeah.
JD. Is it Rhyme or I think it's Rim.
Rim.
I think I go back and forth on how to say that, but I think it's JD Rim. So if he's out too. So it seems like for the most part, Coach Freeze even said yesterday that we're pretty healthy to be able to do this new format that he's talked about. So I think most people will be there.
I like what he said about Jaquez Hunter.
Yeah, what you think about that? That's a bit of a step out, isn't it? Best one he's ever coached.
Shortstop number 9, John Ramsey.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait September 2nd. I'll be there September 2nd.
Now, if it rains, maybe you won't be there because you said you were going to be here for this one.
I will.
I know. Hey, listen, it is a much different story to come to the rain for a real game as opposed to a spring game. Now, if we were playing a real opponent in the spring game, maybe we'd all be there too. So what are you most excited about the spring game scene?
About all the fans showing up.
I hope we do. I hope we. I'm afraid that rain's going to keep us a little bit down in numbers more than we normally would be, but I hope they do show up. It'll be a good showing for recruits.
I bet before the first game, September 2nd, I bet they will have a fan day, and they will sign autographs too.
Traditionally, they're going to have that fan day. I would not get your hopes up about that autograph session, though, because normally they're not doing it for A-Day. They haven't announced one. So if they're not going to do one then, they're not going to do one probably a few months later. Unfortunately, I think NIL has killed that for a lot of us who enjoy that. It is a part of A-Day and of the fan days that I think is lost.
Like last year, I went to the Arkansas game. And I waited for them to get out the locker room. They signed my program.
Yeah, I think I know that they'll sign autographs just on a like one-on-one basis. When I go to reverse Tiger walks and get them leaving before they go away for home games, they're always signing things, but it's those big events they know where everybody's going to get an autograph. They're trying to give them an opportunity to make some money off their names. So I think it's one of those things that's kind of a give and take. So you will have a fan day, I would assume, but it will not be for an autograph, unfortunately.
Or it might be open practice. Like
that was cool. That's the one thing of the Brian Harsin era that I kind of like that he brought. Well, there were a couple of things, but I like that concept. Maybe we'll see it stay. And it's a good way to kind of get people to come out for the fan day and check things out.
Hopefully we can get Cam Coleman back there.
The wide receiver guy. Yeah, a lot of people were excited last week. It kind of felt like maybe we were getting close to a commitment from him and then the other guy who came on the same day. I got to think he came back for a second day specifically to be there for that guy. So that was a little bit exciting buzz, right after Jamari and Burnett, and maybe we're going to get another offensive commit. Time will tell.
Yeah, they said that Jamari Burnett is trying to flip 2 Alabama commits.
I think he is. I think Walker White is. I think Amon Lane is. We've got a good crew that are all working together to flip some of these guys and bring some of these guys in. So you got to love that when you see camaraderie, teamwork already being established with guys who really aren't even on the team yet. They haven't even signed anything. So that's a good sign.
When they get the Marcus Reddick.
Yeah, that's another one out there too. So let's do this. I want you to, as we close out our time, I want you to predict this for me. Who wins, the offense or the defense in the A-Day game?
The offense.
You think the offense wins? I'm going to say the defense wins.
I think offense will win, and they will have steak dinners.
Oh, I did see that where he said, we'll treat him to something like that. That's pretty cool. Well, it's always good to hear from you, Kevin. Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
And I like Bruce Pearl too.
Oh, you should. All right, Kevin. Good to talk to you. War Eagle. All right. Always good to hear from Kevin. Good start to our calls. So if you'd like to call in, please do take advantage of the call-in link at the very top of the chat on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, you'll have to come over here to do it. We encourage you to come over here regardless. We're glad you're over on Facebook too, but this is home base. You need to come on over here. Auburn scrimmaging with Green Bay would be awesome. That's never happening. Never happening. Let's see here. You can't find it on the SEC network or on the website. Yeah. Let's see. It's on the ESPN app on mobile, but also Roku, Fire Stick, or streaming platforms. So yeah, that's where you're going to find it. Good to see you, Dusty. Thanks for being here tonight. I saw that you're not coming to A-Day. Is that true? What's going on? Is it the rain? Something else? Leighton, maybe softball can take revenge on Florida for our baseball team choking the lead the last 2 games. Ooh. I thought, well, we did have a lead in both games, but I thought, did we have a lead? We didn't have a lead in the second game, I thought. Are you talking about the last 2 games consecutively, counting last night? Yeah. A little depressing to see them lose to UAB last night. It's a good team, good coach. But you really don't want to be dropping your midweek games with the SEC schedule that they have. So softball seems to be on a little bit of an upswing right now. We'll see how that continues. I'm wearing gymnastics tonight. I thought I was wearing my softball version of this, but I'm wearing gymnastics tonight. In support of Suni Lee. Sad that she's not going to, and she didn't get to finish at Auburn the way she wanted to. Unbeaten Lake. I think there's I think there was a college versus NFL game in the 70s, the best player, college player versus the best NFL players, and it turned out extremely bloody for the college players. You think? Think about it. College players have access to some of the best trainers, dietitians, nutritionists, coaching that you can get at the college level. The pros have it at the pro level. There's a reason they're the pros and that they're the amateurs. Everybody likes to have fun and say that there are some Alabama teams that could have beaten some of the worst NFL teams. Nah, there's a different level of player, of athlete, of strength that comes with that. So you won't see that ever, in my opinion, again, especially in this day and age. That there might have been a time where the disparity between the two wasn't so large and vast. That time has changed. Much bigger. But back to this, what you guys were talking about, brought this up, the idea of playing a game against somebody else is a really good idea. What would have been really cool to have seen happen is playing some of these SEC teams. Goodness, I have so many like strings and stuff. I gotta go trim all these things. Some of these SEC teams that we don't get to play that often in the current schedule, maybe play a game with them in the spring. So you could have played Florida, Tennessee, some of these SEC East teams that we only see currently once every 6 years and go to their place once every. That's the other thing too, is if you're going to do this, everybody wants to do it on their campus. So it's got to be local teams that will travel well, because in theory, the smaller teams from the state are giving up their home spring game if they do one like that. But you got to feel like there's more benefits for them coming to a bigger opponent's place than doing their own at home. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it makes a lot of sense. I'd love to see a rotation of UAB, South Alabama, Troy, and throw Jacksonville State in there too. I think those 4 minor schools, which are now Jacksonville State, UAB, South Alabama, and Troy, are all at Division I level, the bowl level. Unless I have that wrong. I believe I'm right, though. Leighton says there's a reason why the 3-year to NFL requirement has stood compared to basketball, especially with the trenches the college players can't hold up against the veteran NFL guys. Yeah, it's just a complete, utter valley in the type of, for lack of a better term, bodies that they have. You can train all you want as an 18-year-old kid. You are not going to match even the lowest tier NFL player and what they've had in at least 1 year as a professional. Because most of the, unless you change the trend of they can go to the NFL, then you might start seeing that gap close, but that's not going to happen. Player safety, all that's at play here. So there will be no spring games versus professional teams. That 70s things that you had mentioned earlier, Unbeaten Lake, is a thing of the past, and it should be. I don't know that I would get too thrilled about that, because I know what the result, of that is going to be. But I am excited, regardless of not having a true opponent to play. I am excited about this new format. What do you guys think? Do you like it? Coach Freeze has suggested giving the defense a certain amount of points. The offense is told to go catch them. I think I heard him say in one interview or one press conference 28 points. And I think yesterday he said like 30 is kind of the magic number. Do you guys like it? Do you think there should be a certain amount of points? I feel like 30 is a sweet spot there, because, think about it. Every single play is a chance for you to score points. And yes, it is in football, even when you're on defense, but effectively you are having a chance to score a touchdown every single time you guys go out on the field, because it's offense versus defense. And it doesn't matter if it's first string, second string, whatever. I think 30 is probably, it could be a little bit low. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that bump up a little bit, but it feels like 30 is going to be it. I like it better than defense just getting a point after every stop. I think, to me, in a situation in a spring game where you can't show everything that you want to show, you also don't want to, you want to go full speed, but not full speed enough to hurt each other. You've got to think about how you make the entertainment value a little bit better. And this, when you're not able to keep track as a fan, what's going on in the field score wise, that makes it a little less interesting in my point of view. So just having a clear, definitive, this many points, offense, go beat them. So this first year, don't be surprised, even though I predicted the defense to win, because I just felt like being contrarian earlier to Kevin. I think you might see that surpassed a lot by the offense. In year 2, you would definitely see that. So maybe you'll see like the defense starts with 40 points after this, just to kind of keep up to pace with what the offense is capable of. This is a good measuring stick. And maybe in some ways it's a good thing that it's going to be raining, so they can kind of get the kinks worked out, so that next year, hopefully when the weather is better. You know, we really haven't had an ideal A-Day in quite some time weather-wise. At least I feel like. Last year was miserable. The sun was shining, but it was one of those weird days where you woke up in the morning and it was about 40 degrees. The sun came out, heated everything up to about 70 almost, but then the wind came out and it blew the system in. No, not rain, just wind and currents and stuff like that, just made things really cool off and so uncomfortable. So you were hot if you wore pants that day and jackets at one part, but then as soon as you sat in the stands and, you know, were kind of stuck out of the sunlight at 7 degrees, you were freezing. So we just haven't had that perfect spring day quite yet, or recently in A-Day history. Still good to be there regardless, though. Switching gears here from Layton, Aiden Holloway had a great showing at the McDonald's All-American game. Hopefully it translates to the college game. In training videos, he's automatic from 3. He went 7 of 9 and 1 while off, and went 7 and 8 and 1 while off balance. 7 of 8. Yeah, so I've said this a lot. Doesn't matter if it's football, basketball, tiddlywinks, when you're talking about these kids that aren't here yet, I love that we get excited about them, but remember, we had this same excitement about Juwan Traore, Chance Westry. Now, everybody's got different things that happen to them, so just remember that these guys are not perfect. That's the highlights that you're seeing, that you're so hyped about, they're in high school. Now, Aiden Holloway is with the best of the best at the McDonald's, so those highlights hold a little bit more, in my opinion, weight than just your everyday I played in this high school game thing. So I'm not saying that to simply be a contrarian, but also to just kind of set the framework. Let's give these guys some time to figure things out and not call them the next Jabari like people were doing to Juwan before he even set foot on the floor. Now, obviously, we saw a lot of exciting things from the both of them at the Israel games this past summer, and that got the hype train going even more than just the speculation game. So there was some reasons to think that. But yeah, so excited though. I'm super excited for that. We're going to need him now, especially with Wendell deciding to make his move off effectively in most people's minds. That puts him at the starting spot if he earns it, and Trey as the backup again. But I got to think Trey is going to have a solid chance at either winning it or playing more. It would be interesting in my mind to see him almost, that meaning Trey, and this might be the sweet spot for him, move into that Wendell Green spot of the first year of Wendell Green. People forget that he wasn't the starting point guard for most of the year in his first year. Sixth man, came in right away, but basically played the minutes of a starter. Coach Pearl just changed it up and actually made him a starter this year. So I could see Trey having a similar role when he starts out this season. Did I say Trey? Yeah, Trey, when he starts out this season, and maybe earning it, or if, you know, Aiden needs some more time or whatever. Regardless, I'm going to miss Wendell. I'm going to miss yelling, "Logo win! Icy win! But yeah, I think we'll be fine. And obviously there's room for others to come in and help where some of the gaps are being left by those that chose to leave. So it's always sad to see them go, but obviously that's the way things work out sometimes. All right, we'll take a minute here, just a pause in between the stuff. Go ahead and get some more comments and questions that you might have. Remind you that our broadcast on Wednesday nights are brought to you by our friends at All Things Auburn. Check them out at allthingsauburn.net. Yes, they are a place for you to stay when you come to campus, but they are all about having the best Auburn experience. Miss Tanya there is one of the sweetest ladies in the world, one of the best Auburn women I know. And she will obviously set you up with a great place to stay, very close to all of your favorite venues, Jordan-Hare, Neville Arena, Plainsman Park, and much more, downtown, all that stuff. But she'll get you taken care of even beyond that. So check them out at allthingsauburn.net for a place to have a full and complete Auburn experience. And they bring you the phone line on Wednesday night. So that's why we give them a shout out every single game. All right. Let me think through what we haven't hit yet until you guys get some more things that you would like for me to address. So we get a caller. We've talked a lot about the spring game. And those things. In football, we can still, basketball, we can come back to some of those things. Any thoughts on the statue? The Frank Thomas statue? Too long for it to be there? Too early? Like, anybody, what do you think? There's a picture that came in. Clint Richardson shared it. I don't know the individual who took it. It's at the tip of my tongue. Anyway, I got to be honest, he echoed the same sentiment. Looked a little small. A little small for the big hurt, but obviously there's reasons that probably they have to be the size that they are. We'll just wait and see when it gets there. Devin's here. Good to see you. Just got home from my son's first baseball game of the spring season. I have a feeling, Devin, that we're going to be missing you a lot this spring season, which I hate because I know you want to be there for the kids, but we need Our Lady in the Kitchen here with us. But thanks for checking in. Leighton, it just seems like the basketball for the past 2 seasons, the shooting guards, wings, twos, however you'd like to slice that, have been so inconsistent. That's the main portal position they have been targeting, guys. 6'2", 6'4", at least 36% from 3, it seems. One thing that I will stress, I feel like I'm really kind of just being contrarian to Leighton here, but there's an overemphasis on this size factor. Yes, there's some of those things that could have helped if Wendell was a little bit bigger, KD was a little bit bigger, things like that. Of course, there's an advantage, but it depends on what you do with those disadvantages that make you good or bad or whatever. So, in my mind, if they fit our needs and they're in the 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" category, great, bring them in. We have some concerns about that, but I don't focus so much simply because they're this height, they're this speed, they're this weight. Measurables are good for some things, but I think sometimes we put a little bit too much emphasis on them. Unbeaten Lake talking about the Frank Thomas statue. Could have been forced perspective of the photo. I don't know. I looked at it several times and it's almost the exact spot where I stood a year ago to say this is where it's going to be. And I was like, looks pretty small. When I say small, they've got the Heisman trophies that are just larger than life, right? The Heisman statues. But this one, there's not a lot of room there. And if you're going to think about the future and needing to add others there, I don't think we're super long from, well, I shouldn't say super long. We're not so distant from a Jimmy Hitchcock statue, from a Hal Baird statue, somewhere down the line, maybe a Bo Jackson statue too, or a Tim Hudson statue. You never know, right? So you got to make room for the future. WT, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Most of the games are on Monday or Thursdays. Today was a makeup game, so I'll be here. Yes. We love having you here, Devin. Leighton bringing up about Frank Thomas. He's the only SEC player in the history of the conference that has made the MLB Hall of Fame. Always such a crazy statistic. Yeah, I think on the surface, it is a crazy statistic, right? Because it's the SEC, right? We're the best in everything. But I also think that people forget that not a lot of, I shouldn't say it. A lot of players don't go to college. They go straight to playing minor league, straight to the pros. You have a different setup than you do in a lot of these other sports where they have to go to college for a year or 3 years or whatever. So a lot of these guys that are in the pros started playing right away. Some not the case, which obviously we're grateful for the guys that come to Auburn. But when you think about it on that way, maybe it's not as crazy, but you would think, right? You would just think that somebody else would be in the MLB Hall of Fame from the SEC. There's got to be somebody. Isn't I think what's his name? Gosh, I'm blanking on his name right now. Played for Auburn and Florida, played for the Cubs and Atlanta Braves, and then now was the head coach of the Cubs. Somebody help me. Somebody help me. I'll wait for a minute. Unbeaten Lake, shifting gears a little bit. Here's a thought. When do we honor Gene Chizik? We've already honored Gene Chizik with the 10-year anniversary. He came back, got on welcomed. Yeah, they did that already. And great reception. I remember us talking about this somewhere on a podcast or something and just expressing how good it was to see the Auburn family welcome him back into the fold so publicly. Now, does he get a statue? No, he doesn't get a statue. If winning a national championship got you a statue, we'd be Alabama. So maybe I'm wrong, but to me, you get a statue for going so above and beyond the scope of winning one game or a championship. If you think about who gets statue right now, Cam, Bo, Pat Sullivan, you think about the coaches and administrators, Cliff Air, Pat Dyed, Shug Jordan, and hopefully not too far off, Mike Donahue and George Petrie. There's 2 spots there right next to Cliff Air. I got to think those are for them someday. But you got to go above and beyond. I think Gene has been plenty honored and will still be honored. I'm just happy that people treat him so great right now. WT brings up about the small guard situation. Harper and Brown took us to the Final Four. I don't remember them being particularly tall. So let me also take the counterpoint, since I did it for Leighton earlier, about the height and stuff. That also could have been just an anomaly, right? It was such a weird year where things just kind of fell right. We were peaking at the right time. Everybody seemed to be peaking at the right time. Do you remember how good D'Angelo Purifoy was doing in that tournament at the end of the year, but also the next year and leading up to the tournament that was canceled? So it's all about how you're performing at that time. And yes, it wasn't a factor because of the way they played together, the way they were performing individually at that time. It's why when I see people focusing, and nobody's doing that here that I see on our little family here, that I'm not even talking about anybody specific, but I see instances where it's like, we got to have a 6'2" guard. No ifs, ands, or buts. We cannot be successful. That's about as stupid as a comment as Tony Barbie, who said we can't be successful without getting rid of Under Armour. We've proven that wrong. Now, I know that opens up a can of worms, and you guys may want to talk about that, but don't be so definitive in your statements about we have to have this to be successful, because it's not true, because there's always an exception to that. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. Leighton says the main argument for size of the guards is on the defensive end, just to have the extra length to guard on threes, grab a few boards, a good amount. Dominant teams now have taller guards. True. And if you notice, though, even with smaller guards, we were pretty good rebounding wise for a lot of the season. It kind of fell off there towards the end, which is curious to figure out why, though. Rebounding is about, if someone else has said this, so I'm butchering it, but I'm going to use my own take on it. In my opinion, and others have said something similar to, so I'll back it up with that. Rebounding is about 30% Skill, 70% desire. Doesn't matter how tall you are. If you want it more, you will put yourself in a position to get that rebound and get the rebound. Just some food for thought there. WT, Purifoy shot lights out from the three-point line in that UNC game. I love watching those games much. Such good, sweet times, sweet times. Yeah, it'd be nice to we were talking about this with my in-laws because we were over at their mom's place this weekend, and that's where I watched us win the Elite Eight game to go to the Final Four, and just I leapt from the floor. I'm gonna pull this thing off. Sorry, y'all gonna see this happen live. It's bothering the heck out of me. Feels like there's a spider web on me. It's just like one little. Okay, well, that's gonna rip the thing if I don't do it properly. So I guess I'll just have to be annoyed. I just remember where I was and running out into the street, screaming, "We're going to the Final Four." One of the neighbors came running out, like basically ready to shoot me because he thought I was like some hooligan. And he was a Bama fan, so I'm sure that made him happy. Who from the state's been to the Final Four? Not you. So there's that. Unbeaten Lake. It's also the 10-year anniversary of the 2013 team. So they will be honored sometime this season. I hope Trey is there and is healthier. Trey. Mason. I was like, hold on. Yeah, Trey definitely, it seemed like, had some rough patches since he's been gone, from what I remember. I hope he's doing well. As far as I know, he is. Obviously not in the NFL. I thought he would have popped up in one of these smaller leagues. Because to me, when I talk about the XFL, the USFL, and then the former AAF, all these spring football attempts, to me, yes, it's for people who didn't make the NFL initially. But for me, that's prime for these guys that had their shot in the NFL, maybe lost it or just can't, or having a hard time getting back into there. That's prime for them. Like, this would have been perfect for Trey Mason. He would have been dominant, in my opinion, in the USFL or the XFL. I would have loved to have watched him there. Back to basketball. Rebounding is also a factor. Being in the right place at the right time. Sometimes contrary to what Nate Oates might think. Well played. Well played, sir. Wow, I don't even know how to respond to that now. That was so well played. There's a few times that I've rendered speechless here. That was good. That was good. Agreed. Who was the last team to make it there? Brian's here. Good to see you, Brian. Better late than never, my friend. Glad to see you, though. Checking in from the great white north. As a reminder, we'll be on for another 15 minutes or so. So don't hesitate if you do want to call in. We've had one caller tonight. Would love to get some more. I know this is kind of like the doldrums time for everybody, even with the 8A game. I think, honestly, if we weren't going to have this rain rolling through, there'd be even more hype for this game. And there's going to be really hard to have a lot of excitement for it after that because of, I think, the lack of weather, and the crowd's probably going to be a little tempered. It's just been, I was talking about this with somebody today, one of those years where it's been hard to get and then maintain excitement across the board, because it seems like every time there was some excitement, something would happen to drop it down. So football started off okay, fell off, revived itself, and then it ended. And then basketball was kind of getting off to a hot start and then fell off, came back a little bit and then fell off again. And baseball is kind of trying to find its play. It's the big three have just not given us a lot of solidified foundation this year so far, because baseball is still in the wing of things. SUNY not being able to compete all the way through. Really, honestly, the most exciting things that have happened this season that have been, bigger surprise have been volleyball. Women's basketball took a step forward. Equestrian won an SEC title and still can do more. people forget that we've got these great golf teams, tennis teams, and track and field teams that are doing some amazing things. So I know it's one of those years where things are down, interest is a little bit down. We see it in our numbers here on our YouTube channel, and I know it's happening on others as well. Yeah, it's just one of those years where everybody's kind of lost their buzz. Hopefully we get that back with a better football season this year. I've tried to find out what's been happening, find out about what's been happening the last couple of years, but have found nothing. I'm talking about Trey Mason. His mom said he's not the same as he once was. I hope he's okay. Yeah, I don't want to go too far into that because I think there was I remember something kind of big was going down with him, and people were kind of asking for us to reach out as an Auburn family and kind of encourage him. It seems like a guy to me. I remember he got the starting job as the Rams running back and then immediately lost it to, I think, Todd Gurley. I think that probably didn't help. Yeah, I do hope that he's doing a lot better, though. WT, any news on people coming in for basketball? I don't get to stay up to date on recruiting like I used to. You're probably better for that, WT. Let me be honest with you. It becomes obsessive for some people. It did at one point for me. So my advice to you is just stay where you are. We're going to give you the information here that you need to know. The important thing, who actually committed, who actually signed, and things like that. Obviously, everybody's got their place for reporting those things, and I think they do a great job at that, but I think it becomes a little bit obsessive at times. But to answer your question, after I went on the diatribe, we talked about a little bit earlier, forget the individual's name now. Denver Jones, guard, seems to be close to committing. Here's how you can look at it. I think Chandler Leopard, who just decided to transfer, had a scholarship. I believe he got one to start the year off. Wendell Green, Chance Westry, 3 guards, and Yuan Trey are forward. And then I would assume Babatunde is going to leave. I don't know, but he hasn't happened yet. So the Babatunde, the Alan Flanagan, the Jalen Williams things are up in the air. But right now you got 4 spots available, and maybe supposedly a 5th out there too, I think. So it'll start happening here very, very soon. Auburn golf is great. People don't pay enough attention to it. I wish there was a better way to spectate that. Yeah, I know you can go out to the golf courses when they're in Auburn, but it's just never worked out for me to go out there. Leighton says, I wonder without weather events if we have 75% capacity considering the recruiting momentum and success. I don't think so. I think I predicted on the Voice of College Football show yesterday, I think I predicted about 30,000, maybe pushing 40, which would be 50%, under 50%. Yeah, I don't think you get more than 30,000 in there, especially with this weather. Now, it will probably be lucky to hit 20,000. Yeah. On a related note, Colorado sold out the spring game for the first time in a 50K stadium. Well, we can do that normally we can fill up 50K in a spring game in a normal good weather circumstance. But yeah, that's not, if they didn't sell that out, I'd be shocked. They spent a lot of money for a lot of nothing. And that, if that didn't happen. Leighton is giving you some information. He's up on the stuff. He spends way too much time. I'm kidding, Leighton. Just messing with you. What was the total number for Gus's first spring game? Now, as much as I am a Gus fan, you guys know this about me. I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, that was all him. There was a lot of it was him, but it was the last roll game. I think it was sold out, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think it was sold out. So 87, however many thousand, 87,000, however many hundred people. We need to start recruiting Yao Ming's daughter. Yao Ming has a daughter? And is she as tall as he is? If that's the case, yes. But the thing I think people forget, if I have this correct, Yao Ming's parents were shorter. Way, way, way shorter. So I guess it doesn't always, translate. Marshall 7-footer is visiting too sometime. Don't know when, but a few portal guys have already started committing to schools. Yeah, you're going to start seeing that going right now, and that'll push others to start making decisions too. So hopefully we hit the right guys that we need to right now. There's your clarification for our capacity, 87,451. Soon to be above 90. Not soon, but I get the... So here's what I'm referencing is an expansion. I think Auburn's football stadium, Jordan-Hare, has more needs than just an expansion, but if they're going to do something like that, they're probably going to also do some type of expansion. It wouldn't surprise me to see them put a box seat type of situation matching the new media booth and recruiting center tower that went right next to the big scoreboard to start off with, plus some renovations around the stadium. And then that far end over there, either enclosing it fully or partially to get us up above 90,000. I bet that fills in another 10,000. So we're probably looking somewhere close to 95,000 if that happens. It might be a bit of a stretch, but that's just me filling things out. Okay, so he's 10 years old. We don't have to worry about it then. Or 10. Either way, a little too early to be recruiting that. And she's still got a lot of height to put on to match her dad's height. But hey, should I even say this? No, I'm not going to say it. Open up a can of words. No, she is not 6'10" already. No. Is that real? Then sign her right now. I take back everything I said about height, Leighton earlier. And I think it was WT that was we were talking about different angles of it. I take it all back. Sign the 6'10" girl at 10 to 12 years old. That's ridiculous. Leighton says we don't need to rush the transfer basketball commits, but getting a couple now would be nice to get an idea on what the roster is shaping out to be. It would be, yes. I don't think it's rushed at this point if someone commits. Or even if it would have been like a week earlier. Just because these guys not decommit, but decide to go to the draft now or decide to transfer, the coaches know that's coming. So they're already having discussions with people, right? You get that. Those things are happening all the time. Any truth to the rumor that when the expansion is done, the stadium will be the shape of a... No. No. We need to ensure the correct fit, though, and play Bruce's brand of defense. Yeah, obviously, but that's up to Bruce, right? Bruce is going to know what fits him the best. And I think just because mainly Yuan when I discuss this, because Chance had other elements with the injury, just because they didn't work out in this year and decided to move doesn't mean it was a bad choice. We don't know what their trajectory might have been here. Might have been very good and just needed some extra time, but we won't know that, right? So one thing I do know is Bruce is a very good coach of defense. He's shown that time and time again, no matter the type of player that he has. And I think he's going to be able to, no matter who that is, get them ready for what type he wants to run, even if they don't fit the type that he traditionally is. Get the best players in here and coach them up. And Bruce Pearl is a good coach. I believe he can do that. It's crazy how certain schools have incredible basketball history. Wish Auburn could be on that list. So if you're talking about that, I'm assuming you're talking about the Blue Bloods. Talking about Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, UCLA. I think that's the 5 main Blue Bloods. UConn's got a discussion in there. Villanova, maybe outskirts, really. So if you're talking about that, sure. But not everybody can have that type of history. It just doesn't work out that way. It'd be nice, right? I agree with you. It'd be nice. But maybe what you're saying, Neil, here, if I'm interpreting, is it'd be nice to kind of be in the same vein as a UConn, who's had 5 national championships, not as many as some of the big blue bloods, but in that vein. Maybe that's what you're saying. So with that in mind, yeah, it would be nice, but I think Auburn's got a pretty decent history for ourselves. Now, when you compare that to some others, sure, that's not going to hold up all that much, but there's a lot of teams that like to have a Sonny Smith. It's a lot of teams that would have liked to have Charles Barkley as a player and now as an ambassador for your team, for your school. Auburn's got a good basketball history. Maybe not a great, as you said, or a credible in terms of success, but I kind of like where we are. When I watch the football natty, we don't feel close to UGA. Watching the basketball natty, we can compete now. We aren't far off. Probably true. Probably true. Duke and UConn both have 5. Oh, I didn't know that. I always think that Duke has more. And I'm always shocked that they don't have as many as I think they have. And that's why I was saying, in my opinion, UConn is kind of on the outside looking in. Maybe would be considered in that, but when you talk about history, incredible history, UNC, Duke, UCLA, Kansas, definitely in that category, in my personal opinion. How many traditional football players have had their team make a Final Four? Not many. Auburn. We could have had a pretty good history, but we've made some incredibly poor hires after Cliff. We hired Jeff Lebo and Tony Barbie. I will counter you a little bit on Jeff Lebo. If my memory serves me correctly, we got the arena right after Lebo. In fact, I think he was like promised it or something like that. I do think that Lebo was getting things turned in the right direction. However, it wasn't enough for a new wave, a new era of Auburn basketball coming with a new arena and things like that. I would have much rather us continue on with him than Tony Barbie. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, those definitely set us back a little bit. We still have a good history, though. Indiana's 1-2. It's not we think blue bloods must be blue, but they're red too. Hey, they may not be that they were before you got there, but they certainly are now. No question about that. All right, final comments and questions. Get them in right now. Run through them rapid fire as we start rounding out our show here. Reminder of what to look forward to. This is the tentative plans going forward. We might do a 8-day preview. I'm not certain I can get that squeezed in this week. Maybe. We'll see. So that I'm not going to put something up for you guys there. But here's what we plan to do for you other than social media stuff all throughout 8-day weekend in the rain. We'll be there. Our plan is to live stream the broadcast the Frank Thomas ceremony. Don't miss it if you can. Come back and check it live or on the replay if you can. We also will be live streaming Tiger Walk, the 8-day edition of that. We also plan to have a post-game discussion live stream about 8-day. Don't have the set time for that yet, but be looking for that. So those are our plans for this weekend. You can be a subscriber. You can be a channel member. You can be a Booster Club member. You can check all the other links out in the description for ways that you can help support us here at E2C Network. We appreciate those that do one, both, all, any of those things, because you do help us keep the lights on here. We are, in many ways, primarily a fan-supported thing right now. We'd love to have some sponsorships on in the future, and we may do that, but fan support is where we get a lot of our help. So we appreciate that. And you can help us, even if it's not financially, by smashing the like button. So here's one thing that I would really like to see happen. If you guys, if I may just kind of have your ear for a second. I know everybody doesn't have time to watch all the different short videos and stuff that we put out, but please, if you can, try to go watch them and smash the like button. I know it's annoying to hear us say that all the time, but it is huge, absolutely huge, just to go hit that like button. And if you have a couple more seconds, just drop a comment too. It is a huge help for us on YouTube. I say that for me. I say that for any YouTube channel out there. It's in some ways almost as important as being a financial supporter of what we do. But anything that you can do there is great. So smash the like button. All right, final comments and questions here. Let's get through them. How that all, the Cliff Ellis days, oh boy, how that all ended was bad, yeah. What are your expectations for this football season with win total? I'm expecting more wins than last year. Yeah, I would hope so. I think I answered this the standard way a lot. I think Auburn's usually good enough to expect 8 wins every year. When I hear Coach talk about it in his press conference, I'm a little bit hesitant to feel that confident about that, because I really put a lot of stock in what the coach actually says and what you can glean from that. So that's lending me to lean more towards 7 wins this year, which would be more bowl eligibility and improvement, which is about all that you can ask for, right? Thank you, WT, for the reminder for everybody. Do you have access to the facility to watch it if it gets rained out to get to the facility? Oh, no. Shoot. So I will not be a member of the media for this. I did not request it. And now I kind of wish I had as I play with the string on there. Ooh, because if they're going to do it in there and nobody else can come. Oh, man, that's going to be tough. Ooh, okay. So, yeah, man. No, I don't have access to it because I didn't request for it. Brian asked a great question. What's the difference between a channel member and a Booster Club member? So, bear with me, folks, for those of you that know this. So just give me a second. Some other people may be wondering. So we have the Booster Club and a channel member. So a channel member is exclusively for here on YouTube. We had several people that wanted to do something like the Booster Club, but didn't want to have to go enter their credit card information anywhere else except here. So we let them, you can do higher than $1, but that's the level that we let you enter in at. Here, all it gets, I say all like it's nothing, but you get icons next to your name for how long you've been there. Sometimes I'll post little exclusive things, and they're not very often, but that's mainly for the Booster Club people. And you'll get access to little emojis and stuff like that. I need to make the Dustbuster one for you guys. I need to have fun with that for those of you that are on there. The Booster Club is the main thing. It's what we want you to come be a part of. We're probably going to be doing some new things with that in the nearest future here too. But it's got, I give you guys exclusive updates there. If I get little tidbits, bloopers from podcasts, access to call in on shows when nobody else gets them, other things coming. You get to be featured on Auburn Roots podcast when that comes back, all kinds of things. That starts as $1 a month and has different tiers too. So I hope that answers the question. Yes, you can see he's pointing to his channel icon right now. So that's the difference. Channel membership, all it takes is $1 to get in. Same thing for the Booster Club to get the basics of that, but it has different tiers with different things. And Brian, because you're a Booster Club member, but that's to answer your question. They're both there for people that want to do one or the other. Some of you guys do both. It is not required, either one of those. All right. Thank you all for indulging me for that little bit of housekeeping. Hugh said Jarquez is the best running back he's ever coached. Hopefully we have an O-line. Please. Did y'all talk about doing a scrimmage against another team like you said? Yes, we did. Love the idea. I asked the question of why it hasn't happened sooner and what's keeping that from happening. You can go back. It's pretty early on if you want to go back and watch some of that. But yeah, we discussed that a little bit. I'm thinking about doing a video about that. We'll see if it happens. Well, Hugh is more candid and truthful than a usual football coach, so it could lead you to feeling a little down on the team since he doesn't sugarcoat the quarterbacks and other positions performances. Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought for the majority of his time, maybe majority is a strong word, for a lot of his time, Brian Harsin was very candid and honest about some things. I think he got a little bit more protective of himself and his program, maybe rightfully so. But he was very honest about some things, and I appreciated that about him. I loved Gus Malzahn. Still love him. But you couldn't get a word out of that guy in terms of substantive stuff. So thank you guys so much for the kind words. I appreciate that. Yeah, go check that out. Would they need any kind of approval? I don't know. That's a good question. One, I probably don't have the time to go into all the looking and dealing for, but I'm sure some of our beat writers are on that and figuring that out because it's becoming a hotter topic right now, right? To me, it kind of sounds like, though, that it could be an agreement in principle thing. I don't know that there's an actual rule that they can't, outside of there are stipulations to when, how much, how they can practice because of being a student athlete, and that may conflict with that. So there may be some minute rule that has to be changed, but if there's enough push for it, I would imagine it can be changed. And I did love how he approached press conferences until the end. Other than that, guys, thank y'all so much for being here. I love Wednesday nights. Always, it tends to be a smaller crowd, but you guys are who are here throughout the shows and can be here. I appreciate y'all so much. Those of you that watching the replay, we appreciate you too. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned this week. If you stay here at the end of this show, it should take you immediately over to a wait page for the Tiger Walk live stream. Go ahead and smash that like button. Go ahead and hit that notify me bell. I know you're subscribed. You should be subscribed, but go ahead and hit that too so you don't miss it. You do not want to miss the content we have coming out this week. Hopefully the rain will cooperate. And of course, a happy Easter, everyone. He is risen. He is risen indeed. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Till we talk to you again. War Eagle.